It all began during World War II. Britain desperately needed naval destroyers and so agreed to lease Beanfield and Railway in St. Lucia to the Americans in exchange for destroyers. (1942). The United States makes a decision to build a hospital in the Santa Cruz Valley in Trinidad and Tobago. Somehow, huge shipments of fabricated materials, plus a team of workmen, engineers, carpenters, plumbers, and electricians arrive in St. Lucia and begin work on the Beanfield Military Hospital. Halfway through construction, it was discovered that the hospital was being built on the wrong island. A decoding mix-up caused the construction material and personnel to be sent to Dawn, codename for St. Lucia, instead of Lawn, codename for Trinidad. The construction at the Beanfield Military Hospital was allowed to continue. Beanfield was originally known as the Bean Army Airfield, activated in 1941 and used by the United States Army Air Force to defend St. Lucia against an enemy attack.
The name Beanfield came by the colonel, of course. The colonel who was in charge of that area in Beaufort was Bean, Colonel Bean, so they gave it the name Beanfield.
The Army Hospital was closed down in 1947 and all the equipment and furniture shipped to Puerto Rico. The hospital remained abandoned for the next decade and a half until a group from the Sisters of the Sorrowful Mother who were working at Victoria Hospital discovered the abandoned medical facility. The group was led by then Sister Mary Oma Hilger of St. Francis.
She was kind, she was dedicated, and she was a person's person. She loved people.
30th April 1965. Hogarth Belizaire was asked by Mother Irma to accompany them to visit an abandoned United States military hospital.
We came down and arrived here on a Sunday afternoon, about 5 o'clock, only to be greeted by cows and goats and things like that were in around the place. There were many holes in the roof, there were, especially on this side here, but it was just an empty shell. There was no equipment in it. And we finally got the doors working, locks, those that needed changing, we of course we had to change, but most of the building was intact. The only thing that was not intact was the roof in itself.
The government of St. Lucia, led by then Chief Minister John Compton, agreed to allow the Sisters of the Sorrowful Mother to develop and manage what eventually became known as St. Jude Hospital, named after the patron saint of lost causes. On the 5th of September 1966, St. Jude Hospital was formally opened by Mother Irma and the Sisters of the Sorrowful Mother on behalf of the Catholic Church.
The Sisters of the Sorrowful Mother, they were there from day one. They actually took a hospital that trees were growing in and everything, growing all over the place. They cleaned it. With the help of the American sisters they have and other organizations, they actually build up St. Jude's.
Because of the international connection of the Sisters of the Sorrowful Mother with their own chain of hospitals and medical associations in the United States, they were able to bring down specialists whom the government could not afford to bring down to St. Lucia. And that was a tremendous contribution that St. Jude made in those early days, you see. That specialists, all kinds of specialists, were coming, volunteering to come down to serve because of St. Jude.
In fact, the reputation of St. Jude has been one in which the people of the South have benefited from some very quality services provided to them through volunteerism.
In 1992, the St. Jude Hospital was handed over to the St. Lucia government, ending over 2 decades of management under the Sisters of the Sorrowful Mother. Through their network of hospitals, medical professionals, and philanthropists, they made St. Jude a respected hospital built on a foundation of volunteerism and partnerships. Subsequent to the management by the Sisters of the Sorrowful Mother, there was also a management partnership with Mercy Medical Center in Des Moines, Iowa. it is estimated that the network of Catholic churches and hospitals provided $3 million in cash to the St. Jude Hospital annually.
From 1966 till 1992. So that's a lot of money, you know, that has been given, donated by the church to the health system in St. Lucia.
9th September 2009, a night that will long be remembered by St. Lucians and by the people of Vieux-Fort in particular. And for two pregnant mothers, the experience will last generations. Two babies were delivered within hours of the blaze. The first, Janelle David, a baby girl whose mother came from Blanchard-Dericeau, was born at the Vieux-Fort Secondary School, the first stop for evacuees from the fire. A second baby girl, Lucilla Malcolm, also of Blanchard-Dericeau, was delivered at the George Odlum Stadium, where the patients, nurses and doctors eventually settled. But lives were also lost. 3 males perished in the fire. Claudia Soudine of Perrault, Joseph Jean-Baptiste of Perrault, Bernice Vigier of Belleville-Vieux-Fort.
Most unfortunate, and I think that is the thing that has us grieving the most under the circumstances, because as a healthcare institution, our responsibility, our mission is to be able to sustain life. And anytime you have whatever activity that happens within the institution where you have a loss of life, it has to be the saddest and weakest moment for all of us within the institution. And if anything out of that disaster that grieves us the most is the fact that we lost lives on that night.
Rising from the ashes, rebuilding the love.
The fire at St. Jude on September 9, 2009 unleashed a tsunami of support from the St. Lucian public, who responded seconds after the blaze started.
That was one of the beautiful things that we experienced, even in the face of tragedy, that a lot of the schools, a lot of local organizations, they came on board. Employees in different workplaces made little contributions, and they came and donated to St. Jude Hospital.
Support poured in the form of donations from individuals, from local, regional and international agencies, foreign governments and the private sector, including Hess Oil, who donated $1 million towards equipment and infrastructural work at St. Jude Hospital.
Hess came on board as a very significant donor in terms of providing very important equipment that we needed to be able to provide essential medical services. And matter of fact, they even provided their own personnel to be on site with us to ensure that those equipment are here and that we can access them when we need to.
St. Jude Hospital continues to receive support in cash, in kind, and in the forms of supplies and equipment. The fire which destroyed the surgical wing of the St. Jude Hospital reignited the spirit of giving in a community that has been built on the concept of Kudme. Volunteerism and partnership is the legacy left behind by the Sisters of the Sorrowful Mother and the Catholic Church, a legacy that will linger for generations.